Hi, for this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about what we're going to be reading about in Module 1. And for that module, you're going to be reading Chapter 1, which talks about the key steps in the research process. So why start a book about research methods, worrying about the research process? And what happens is it's really all about the rigor. Rigorous research is going to lead to studies that are more valid. The findings are more valid. And in turn, when we have valid findings, we are going to have improved health promotion practices. And finally, if we have improved practices in health promotion, we're going to see improved public health outcomes, which is ultimately what we want to see as health educators and people working in health promotion. Now, the way your authors of this textbook look at the 9-step process of health promotion research is they have a section over in this area that is identify that these are what they call the decision points, and there are 3 decision points you're going to be making. You are going to have to identify who your population is and you're studying, and that includes what setting you're looking at. It's also going to determine if you're going to put any delimitations. In other words, you're going to narrow down the population in some manner. You're going to have inclusion and exclusion criteria that you're going to think about when you move into the sampling process, but that's important. The next thing you're going to do is you need to formulate your research question. And you want to be as specific as possible when you're looking at your research questions. You don't want a very overly broad research question, and as a rule of thumb, the more specific your research questions are, the better. And we'll go through that as we move through the class. And then also determine what kind of research design you're going to be using. So for example, are you going to be using quantitative or qualitative research? Is it going to be observational or experimental? So those are also going to be key decision points. And again, as we go through the semester, we'll kind of zone in on each of those things. And then the next things are the planning steps. And those, again, are 3 planning steps. First, you select a research design that is going to work with your, is going to address your research questions. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to determine which variables you're going to measure and how you're going to measure those variables. So are you going to be using a survey? Are you going to be doing interviews? Are you going to be observing behaviors, for example? And then the other thing you need to do is you need to select a sampling method. So out of that priority population that you had identified in step 1, you are probably not going to be able to ask questions or survey or observe everyone. So you're going to have to find some way of sampling. And again, we'll go through different sampling methods and some of the strengths and weaknesses of each one as the semester progresses. And then there are 3 action points, and these are using the data that you collect with your methods and your data collection instruments from your sample. You are then going to attempt to answer your research questions, and you're going to disseminate the findings. It's really important that if you do research, that somehow your results are in some manner disseminated. Often it's done through publication, but it can also be done in presentations, and it could be done in reports that are not peer-reviewed. And again, we'll talk about that as well. And then I'm sorry, and that's the final step. You go to implement the study, a protocol, which is 7. So you actually do your research, you analyze the data, and you believe me, if it's quantitative data, often you spend a lot of time cleaning it. And then finally, you answer the research questions and disseminate findings. So those are going to be the 9 steps that we're going to focus on for this module and throughout the course. If you have any questions, remember you can send me an email or text me, and I will be happy to help you with this.